Now batting for the Reds, number 44, the shortstop, Thrill.
Here are your hosts, Ricky Logan and Roger Straz.
Welcome to the Red Hot Reds podcast. I'm Roger. That's Ricky. It is Wednesday at 8 p.m. and we are live. And we are live with a guest, a guy that has been on our show before, a returning guest, a guy that we're glad to have on. We haven't talked to him in 7 months, Ricky. It's a lot has happened.
Has it been that long?
Yeah, since April. I mean, and now we're into November. You'd think that the offseason, as it is, the World Series is done, that things would slow down. But today was a day full of news, a lot of decisions made by the Reds front office, and a lot of comments from the Reds front office that we'll get into. Also, our guy that we're bringing on had an article put out on Just Baseball about what the Reds need to do this offseason, what they should, and what's probably realistic about what they're going to do this offseason. So I'd like to welcome to the show our guy from Just Baseball, Mr. Clay Snowden.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Going really well. It's kind of crazy that it's been 7 months since we talked to you. I mean, that was back when the Reds couldn't score at the beginning of April, and they were losing a historic 1-0 games 3 times in a row, and just looking like they were not anywhere near potentially a playoff team. So I mean, and a lot probably has gone. Or a lot's probably happened for you in the last 7 months. So. Feel free to update us with anything. I know you're writing still for Just Baseball and all that, and we're reading your stuff and all that. So how have you been?
It's going well over here. Just watching a ton of baseball, writing 20 articles a month, and just kind of grinding. Doing the 9 to 5 thing, of course, and doing this for fun. So I appreciate the invite.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not sure what baseball you're watching, but I've been watching a lot of Arizona Fall League. I've been looking at the Mexican highlights, the Dominican Winter League highlights, if they're not rained out from Tropical Storm Melissa or whatever, this week and a half that's been happening. But the World Series, I guess, just ended. So I guess you've been watching the playoffs. What were your takeaways from watching that?
Yeah, I think that World Series was awesome. I mean, in terms of just overall product, Dodgers payroll side or whatnot, just a massive win for baseball with just how many views it got, how exciting it was, how many emotional swings back and forth. So overall, the playoffs were everything you could have asked. I also covered the Tigers, so I was watching a ton of Tigers baseball, and their series with the Mariners was incredible. They had a marathon game as well, and just a perfect playoffs.
Yeah, I saw Game 7 had over 51 million views between the U.S., Canada, and Japan. That was the most watched MLB game in 34 years. It was the 1991 Game 7 of the World Series.
Yeah, I knew when I was watching it live, I knew it had that feeling. You could just tell, I wrote an article about that game specifically at 2 a.m. after the game. I was just I got to write about this. This just felt different than any other game that I personally have watched. And I just thought that it was just so awesome to see. And I was pulling for the Blue Jays, but, there's only so much you can do.
Yeah, the Blue Jays had 2 chances at home to get the job done. It's kind of like, they – if you go up 3-2, obviously having that great game by Yesavage in Game 5, shout out to Trey Yesavage, former East Carolina University guy, same as Ryan McChrystal, as we learned. It's not Eastern Carolina. It's East Carolina, by the way, Clay.
Yep.
So don't make that mistake. But anyway, neither here nor there. 2 games at home in Canada. That seems like big-time advantage, especially the fans there are rabid, crazy. And I don't know, when I saw Guerrero Jr. fly out, I was like, oh, that probably that's their best chance to win this series. And unfortunately, it went to extras and the Dodgers, man. I don't know. Everyone's now saying baseball is ruined though because the Dodgers lost.
Yeah. Do you think people felt that way back in the 70s when the Reds went back to back though? I mean, because if you think about it, like the Dodgers are the first team since the Reds to go back to back.
Didn't the Yankees go back to back?
Well, in the National League.
Oh.
So like the Yankees were the last team to go back to back in 99 and 2000, I believe. Mm-hmm. And then the Reds for the National League was the last one, 75, 76. So I understand it just because of the payroll argument, because of how much they've spent on players, but it did give them an advantage when you can go from, Blake Snell to Yamamoto to having Ohtani start the game or whatever. I don't know. I don't hate it. I just, I wish there was a little bit more pair, but people forget like the Blue Jays are top 5 in payroll.
Yeah. And honestly, like, we've seen other teams sign big players like the Dodgers and it blow up. I'm not making excuses for them or saying that, I like what they're doing necessarily, but they made a lot of very good moves, trades, extensions, free agents, international prospects coming up. Like they did it all very well and they got rewarded for that. So in some ways, as much as I wish it wasn't the case, I just have to kind of say, you tip your cap because they nailed just about everything that they did.
Yeah, I would say I'm a bit with Carrick here, and I only can like watch the Reds. After I saw Miguel Rojas go deep in the top of the 9th, I was like, oh, I cannot. I'm not sitting here trying to hate watch the Dodgers, but I was like, oh man, I was just a shot in the heart to all Canadian fans.
Miguel Rojas. I remember when I was a kid, I went to a ton of Louisville Bats games, and Miguel Rojas was a Louisville bat, and I remember watching him and thinking like, oh my gosh, this guy's a great fielder, and that's all I remembered about him. It was only that particular homestand that I saw him, he was only up for a little bit, but it's funny to think all these years later, he's like the old guy, and now I feel old.
Yeah. I think someone put on X that who the manager was of the Bats back when Rojas was there?
Oh gosh.
The guy that just keeps popping up everywhere.
Who is it?
David Bell. And, the assistant GM of the Blue Jays.
We can't go down the David Bell rabbit hole today.
He's everywhere.
He just keeps popping everywhere. Up. Just like the Slender Man or whatever that thing was. But anyway,
did you see the StatCast numbers on Vladdy's flyout? I think there was only 5 other baseballs that were hit with that velocity and that launch angle that weren't home runs.
Now you know what Tito would say.
Still an out.
Still an out, no matter how hard you hit it.
31.5 degree launch angle and 105 off the bat. He flew out to center field.
What was it? I can look it up right now.
I think it was 31.5 degrees, 105. I think that was it.
Let's see.
Yeah, that's crazy. And that's his own home ballpark, so he knows how hard he has to hit it to
30
get it
and a half?
Yeah.
I'm gonna get the exact.
Yeah, no, that's right. That's an 870 batting average, and 84% of those have been home runs. That is wild.
That's why when I saw it, I was like, I didn't think it was gone for sure, but I was like, that's their best chance right there.
What's even crazier is there's one of these batted balls, maybe, that was a single somehow.
Wow.
With
I mean, it must have been like a
one was a
Kirk.
single. I want to look up that play now.
It's got to be like Alejandro Kirk off the wall or something.
I know. Yeah. Somebody just not running out thinking that it was gone type of deal,
What was that? The top of the 10th or the bottom of the 10th when that happened, or bottom of the 9th?
It was bottom of the 9th.
Okay.
Yeah. And that was like,
I'll get you the exact. I'm on the box score. I'll get it.
All right. Yeah. So Clay, I'm guessing just while he's looking that up, you're thinking like one of the best World Series ever, because I've heard a lot of those takes. A lot of people talking about it could have been either team, which it could have been. A lot of swings back and forth. So you're in more of the camp of that best World Series ever.
As far as I've seen, and I'm 32 years old, so I haven't seen a ton, but I think it has to do with feel. Like when I'm watching that game, it felt so different in terms of just the magnitude of the game. And a lot of it also just has to do with the perfect storm of, the big bad Dodgers against an entire country is really what it was.
Yep.
And that in itself is just a great storyline and how it all unfolded. And Bo Bichette on a bum leg doing everything he can to play. I mean, he can't even run. He's just more or less pinch hitting throughout the series or coming in and then having to get him subbed out. And, his free agency looming, and he launches a home run to center field right after they walked Vlad. And that in and of itself was just so electric. And then Yamamoto coming in after starting and going 6 the day before, coming in to close out the game and going 3. I mean, there's just so many layers to this World Series that just made it feel much bigger than previous World Series I've seen.
For sure. Yeah. Carrick saying the 75 World Series, but none of us were alive for that. I wasn't even alive. Don't even. I'm 10 years after that.
I was like negative double. You know?
Anyway,
I was born in 92.
I was born in 93, so I was almost 20 years after that.
Yeah.
Nice.
So the exact numbers on Vladdy's flyout were 100.5, 32 degrees.
Wow.
100.5 and 32.
They just didn't hit hard enough, because if it's 105, it's probably gone.
It was just off the plate.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. You know what else is crazy? Transition is that these Hunter Green rumors still aren't going away, and I know that I don't really want to talk about this too much, and hopefully you don't have too much on it. I know we haven't talked to you about this specifically, but I feel like
we basically did a whole show on it.
we did like a whole 30 minutes on it, like at least. And I don't know. Is there smoke? If there's smoke, there's fire. Is that what we're doing here, Clay? Like, or is this just a bunch of off-season chatter that hopefully it will quiet down after a while?
I think a trade like this is difficult to pull off, which makes me think it won't actually happen. You have a team that in the Reds that are good enough to keep a player like that. If he was on a team that was really struggling, team-friendly deal or not, you just move him. I mean, we've all been there before. We know what that looks like. And I just think the Reds are too good. And I don't think it's time to get cute with the rotation. Like, it worked last year. There's a lot of promise. Those guys are coming back this year. I just don't see the trading from a strength to address a weakness. Like, I understand that, and it does make sense at times, but that does not mean it has to be Hunter Green. If this is the way you're going to operate, then you really need all of the stars to align for you to even be a 90-win team. Like, if you have so many needs that you have to trade arguably the best value on your team, considering contract and kind of where he is in his career and yada yada, like then you are just not taking this seriously enough. I don't care if the return is, I mean, of course, yes, like put the asterisk up there, the caveat. Yeah, if the return is something we'd never imagined, cool, we'll talk about that then. What the return will most likely be is something that you could have addressed in free agency, something you could have addressed by trading even like Nick Lodolo and somebody else, Red Lauder. Like, there's other avenues besides trading not only your best pitcher, but also the guy who you've kind of made your leader of this team. There's no coincidence that he's done all these speaking arrangements over the years, and they've kind of featured him in so many ways. And he's talked about the city, and he signed the extension, and there's just so much here beyond just the baseball. And if anyone wants to come about the injuries, go look at what starting pitching's costing. Alex Cobb got paid $15 million, and he did not pitch the season before besides 3 innings. He didn't even pitch this season where he got 15. Walker Buehler coming off injury, $20 million. If Hunter Green gives you 130 to 150 to 160 innings, it's still a steal, because the money that you would pay for a back-end starter, that's back-end starter money. That's guys you're hoping to get 120, 130 innings out of in a much lower production. So injuries, yes, it's annoying, but still, like, the ceiling of Hunter Green is just far too good to trade considering you have him locked up, and it's so freaking difficult to get pitchers locked up here or to trade or sign for them. I just think there's too many factors that have fallen in the Reds' favor when it comes to Hunter Green to piss it away in order to get a corner outfielder or whatever it may be.
Yeah, you obviously you cover the Tigers, and there's the Scooble rumors going on too. Like, and people want to compare the two, but Scooble's 28, I think, right? 29, and he's got next season of team control, I believe, 2026, right?
The 2026 season is all that he has. So he has this upcoming year of control left.
So you
And the
could,
reason why his conversation is so different in my eyes is because he is the best pitcher in baseball. And I know he's going to get massive Scott Boras money. So, like, trading him, it makes a lot more sense, even if you're good. Now, I wouldn't do it if I'm the Tigers, but trading him does make more sense because he's 99.99% going to test free agency, and we know how that goes. But with Green, there's just too much control left. It's too friendly of a deal. We know how tight the budgets are here. Like, you will not get someone with his talent for that money.
yeah, we've jokingly said, like, if I'm trading him, I want like Julio Rodriguez. Like, I want equal contract to the value of the player, because
Yeah.
that's the only thing I could think of. Like, you're not trading him for prospects because he's essentially a prospect at his age, and the value of his contract. What's he making? Like $9 million next year. I think it's less than 10, right?
Yeah, it's like 8.3.
Yeah.
Like, that's like first year of arbitration money for like a solid pitcher, and he's gonna be 26 next season, and take all of the off the field stuff of who he is as a person. Like, that's somebody you should be clamoring for, and to want to just say, oh well, we need a left fielder, we need a first baseman or whatever. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, the reason why I guess I thought it had more merit, or it's at least reason not going away, is because it came out of Mark Sheldon's kind of like his newsletter or his piece of whatever he was doing, and he generally doesn't write, at least from my understanding, that kind of salacious stuff. And I if I'm like really reading the tea leaves, I'm almost thinking like the front office was leaking some sort of weird cry for help or some sort of weird like threat to the fan base of like, hey, you guys really want a power bat that bad? You know how we can get it? We could trade this guy. And it's like, okay, well, maybe we don't need a power bat that bad, is maybe what they think the reaction of the fan base should be. And it's kind of been like, a lot of people have been like, no way, why are we doing this? This is silly. And rightfully so. But the more and more I hear like people like, condemning this trade, makes me think, okay, maybe it could happen. This front office has done crazier things in recent history as well, where you have a lot of players that are super beloved. But I mean, you've written about this. You said that he was for value. I think even before this season started, for value, the best ace you can find out there across any team, with his youth still. Like, he's not even into his prime years. He's basically the best value for money if you want a guy that's going to be a number one starter.
Yeah, it's really expensive to get starting pitching now. And if he were to hit the open market, how much would he get? Double, more than double what his AAV is on that extension. So to me, it's just, I don't know. Like, would it surprise me? No, of course not. Nothing the Reds do surprises me at this point. But um, when I wrote about the Hunter Green possibility of the trade, and I'm not usually a guy that shows a lot of outrage, but in that article, I mentioned that this is how you lose fans. Like, you're coming off of a season where they actually got to watch playoff baseball. Was it kind of pathetic in a way? Yeah, it was. But you watched playoff baseball. We had feelings of success. We got to see a celebration. And you turn around and trade your best pitcher. And I just think there's so many optics to it too that, like, I truly do feel like you would lose some fans at this point in time because I think a lot are on the verge of kind of waiting for an excuse to jump off. They see the young talent on this team. They see how the core is coming together, and they saw it, in 2010 and whatnot. They've seen it in years prior as well, but it's so infrequent. And when it finally is here for this generation of Reds fans, if if they just go back to not pushing forward and instead taking a step back or moving pieces like Green, I think a lot of fans, not a lot, I shouldn't say a lot. I think you will lose fans though.
Yeah, I mean, it would be like the Suarez and Winker trade times like 50.
Yeah.
Shout out to Frankie Montas picking up his $17 million option as well. So like there's the value of money that we're getting for Green should just show you that. Like he's still with the Mets, right? I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. He's getting his money, and he might not pitch at all. I don't think he even pitched at all this year. I think he was in the minors the whole year. Neither here nor there. Hopefully, this is like the bookend of the talking of. I mean, obviously, we're going to free agency. We're going to be going in the hot stove era of the season. We're like, who knows? Hopefully, this is the last that we talk about Hunter Green getting traded. At least fingers crossed. You did write an article most recently about also what did we learn from the 2025 season for our Cincinnati Redlegs, Clay. What were some major takeaways that you had for the 2025 season?
Oh, let me pull it up.
Right
What did I have in
Share
here?
the
I don't
screen,
even know off
Clay.
the
Share
top
the
of my head.
screen.
That's fair.
Link in
Let me see
bio.
here.
You just submit and then poof, out into the universe. Your thoughts.
And I've written like 20 articles since then. That was October 6th. All right.
Oh wow, was that long ago?
If you're watching on YouTube, I have Clay's link to Just Baseball in the description.
Wow, that's professional producing right there.
There you go.
Yeah, so I'll just kind of read what I had in terms of the headlines here. Get used to antiquated strategy and style. We talk about that. Francona. Rotation took a massive stride forward. We've touched on that. I think we all know what we mean by that. Ellie De La Cruz did not meet expectations in 2025. Middle of the order bat is a must. I know we're going to talk about offseason, so maybe we'll highlight that there. And the bullpen found some answers as well, which I think that we all know. Concerns about the help on the way. That's more about what prospects can help in 2026. Or my angle is how few prospects are kind of projected to help in 2026. So those were kind of the main takeaways. Happy to talk about any of those.
Yeah, so what are your thoughts on Vallega?
My thoughts on the coaching staff, some traits out there, but I don't think I've actually discussed it. I think that it was almost an overcorrection from David Bell. I was not a David Bell fan. In terms of how he presented himself. I thought he did not have any juice at all. There was just, he got thrown out of games and whatnot. Cool. It almost felt like an act that quickly wore off and quickly died out. And when they brought in Francona, I was excited. Quickly realized I shouldn't be. I love how he manages people. I think he's a great person, and I love hearing him in interviews and just hearing him talk. I like Terry Francona. If someone said, "Do you like Terry Francona?" I'd say yes. If someone said, "Do you want him as your manager?" I would say no. I just did not really. A lot of the in-game decisions, I want to be careful not to say were over his head, but he just blatantly missed some obvious moves.
Opening
I
day.
also don't love kind of the whole approach of not chasing more power and only going contact oriented. And I've noticed several other teams kind of present that this offseason and last offseason about wanting to get more back towards that. Well, okay. Let's be honest. Why is that? Because the cheapest good players are contact oriented players. You're not going to be chasing power with money. I mean, if you don't have money, you will not get much power on your team. So overall, I did not like it. I'm hoping for adjustments. I don't know if we'll see that. And if you're going to do the whole contact, move runners on, like I think you can win that way. I think it's possible, but you have to have a lot of very good hitters, not a bunch of average hitters. So that's kind of where I stand on kind of the approach, the coaching staff, kind of, what happened um, this season.
Yeah, what do you think about Brad Mills having a decision to retire after 1 year coming back? That seemed different to me because he was already
Very odd,
retired, right? And then he comes back
very
with Tito.
strange. I guess I don't know how surprised I am by it. Like, yeah, I just don't think much about older guys retiring, I guess. Just living out my dream. But um it was kind of strange. Like you come in for 1 year and then you leave. So I don't know if there's more there, or maybe he just decided, just he did not have the motivation and the love for the game like he once did. Like we hear players talk about that. I mean, you see a ton of athletes come back and at the end of spring training or at the end of training camp in football, or, they realize, okay, yeah, I can't give him my all into this. I just need to quit. So I don't know.
Yeah, famously there was that player, I forget who it was, but in the NFL he retired at halftime in the preseason.
That is, yes, I'm a Buffalo Bills fan, and
Yes.
um,
Is it Vontae
Vernon
Davis?
Davis, was that his name? Something Davis.
Vontae
Something.
Davis, cornerback.
Vontae
Okay,
Davis.
yeah.
Thank you. I was watching that game, and I remember hearing these reports, and then seeing the funniest tweet. I was like, "What if you're just driving down the road, listening to the Bills game, and you see Vontae Davis pull up next to you? Like, what is going on here?"
Hey man,
So
I'm
yeah,
done.
I mean, it happens, man. It happens.
Yeah, no, getting back to the Reds coaching staff, we've talked about ad nauseum with the overcorrection. I think is the right way to think about it, because you think about also how the Reds were top of the Major League Baseball in stealing bases. They seem to not want to run into outs at all if they could help it. It seemed like that, obviously, Ellie didn't meet his expectations in stealing bases, even though he probably was hurt for a good chunk of the year with his leg. Neither here nor there. The thing was that nobody was really being aggressive. Not TJ Friedel. The only guy I really thought that was aggressive on the base pass when he was out there was Marte, and he played, not a full season. But anyway, like that seemed like an overcorrection as well.
Yeah, and to me, if you're going to be this contact and aggressive base running, good defense type of, more, for lack of a better term, kind of old school type team, okay. Like, is it what I personally would do? No. Do I enjoy Like, I do enjoy watching that when it's done right, but they weren't aggressive enough on the base pass. And I think that's how you manufacture runs. Like, you get a speedy enough runner on first, you get him on second, and now the amount of ways you can score from second compared to first is huge, huge. And that's why it's so important. It's all about kind of stealing 90 feet, right? Isn't that? And that's why I don't get is, if you're willing to bunt as much as they were, which is sacrificing an out in order to advance 90 feet, like you're willing to risk outs for 90 feet at a higher percentage, or excuse me, a lower percentage play. Reaching on a bunt is much lower percentage than advancing on a steal. Like, and I don't know. There's probably a ton of analytics that go into all of it, which Terry Francona doesn't seem to give two about. And to me, it's just be more aggressive on the base paths. I'm okay seeing aggressive outs. Like, that's okay. Make the defense make a play. I'm for it. Don't be reckless, but put pressure on. Like, if you want to be that team, I always think of this as like the point guard, like Marcus Smart. I don't know if you all are NBA people at all. Everyone hates playing against Marcus Smart. He's not that good, but he's just annoying as hell. He's pestering. He's always making you think about every single thing you do. Like, people don't like playing against that. If that's the type of baseball team you want to be, by putting pressure, making them make play after play after play, then you have to be a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah, little Patrick Beverly.
Did not expect to talk about Marcus Smart tonight, but here we are.
Yeah, yeah. Shout out to him and Pat Bev.
Boston Celtics legend Marcus Smart.
Defensive Player of the Year, 2023. Anyway, but yeah, that is somewhere in moderation, like somewhere between the super conservative and the David Bell, just let him play chaos ball. Somewhere in between, I want to see that in 2026. I don't know if that's asking too much. I don't know if that's, the fans telling the manager how to do his job, but like 35 steals, 37 steals for Ellie seems low. Just saying.
And maybe part of that too with the new third base coach. Maybe that helps.
Shout out Willie Harris for the promotion. So yeah, but yeah, moving on from that. Unless you got any other comments on the 2025 season, there, Nick Kroll did make some comments about the 26 season already, as his comments generally go viral one way or other, for good or for bad, mostly for bad. But he said that basically the 2026 budget is going to be slightly above or more the same as the 2025 budget, which, as Reds fans, with this pending free agent class that has the likes of Schwarber, Suarez, Bellinger, or did he opt back? I can't remember. I think
Bellinger opted out, yeah.
So yeah, a pretty decent class of power hitting guys that obviously a lot of teams are wanting. They're going to be throwing a lot of money at these guys. But what are those comments from Kroll, Clay? What do those comments say to you?
I hate it. I mean, to me, and I know, like, we don't need to get through all the math of like the players they're deducting, how much they have, and like, but at the end of the day, like, I just don't know why you say these things. Like, you don't have to. No one's forcing you to say anything. And if you look around the league, there's a lot of GM talk, and fans complain, "Oh, this guy's just saying these canned answers," and that's exactly somebody who watches the Detroit Tigers. GM Scott Harris speak as well. Like, he gives the canned answers that everyone expects, but he doesn't tell you much. Like, just do that. I don't need you to be saying things that are going to frustrate people. I don't need you to be telling us stuff like this. Just like, let us all complain about it in a few months. Let us have our off season of high hopes. Come on, man.
Yeah, eliminate peaks and valleys.
Or he's setting the expectations low so they can go way above and beyond that expectation.
When they shock you and go sign Keegan,
Keegan Thompson. Yeah, that's it. That's the guy that's going to, anyway. Yeah, that's what I took from it is that I don't know, man. It's like they're almost like telling us that the 2025 season was a success. So don't fix something that ain't broke. But you can tell that the 2025 team is flawed. That's what we want to hear as fans, obviously. Like you said, the canned answers. We want to improve this team. We have some areas that we're looking at. We want to do this, da-da-da-da-da. We're going to look into the market and see what's the best fit. Those kind of things that mean absolutely nothing in November. But obviously, if there's action backed up behind it, sounds great. You know what I mean? But is he being just too honest? Is he not smart? Is this like his first time he's talked to the media? Like, what is Kroll doing?
I'm honestly tired of always having to say that same sentence you just said last. Like, what is he doing? Like, why is he saying this? He literally owes us nothing. There is no reason for him to give us any information. I know fans think he has to tell us everything. That is in no way part of his job description. He can come up there and just have the most bland answers, not let anyone know what they're doing. I don't even know why he gives out the amount of information he does. I don't have kids, but I know that Ricky does, and I'm sure that your kids say things like in public that you just wish they wouldn't say. It's not necessarily hurtful, but like, you don't have to say, "Mom, why does that woman have pink shoes?" You know what I mean? Like, you just don't say certain things. That's kind of how I feel with Nick Kroll. Like, at times I'm like, did he say something that was like really bad? No, but like, just wish he wouldn't have said that.
Yeah, it makes you kind of, not to bring this guy back up, wish he had the David Bell type of mentality. We're just getting better. We're just getting better every day. We're getting close. We're there. We're almost there. I don't know.
When he wins a ring in Toronto and he gets promoted to full-time GM, that's when he comes to the Reds full circle.
Yeah. Take over for president of baseball operations after we fire Kroll. Is that what it is?
Full circle.
Anyway, that's crazy. I don't know. I guess the reason why I want to throw that in there is because it just I don't know. It reminded me of Ricky's guy down in Miami, Tua Tagovailoa, just like telling everybody he's too short. Like it's just everyone's just gonna like pummel you if you're like, oh yeah, we're gonna try to save money this year, but we're gonna have a balanced budget. We're trying to like he's like a politician. We're trying to balance the budget. No more deficit this year. Balancing the budget. But like no one wants to hear that. Like get out of here, Nick Kroll. Like
I almost did my impression.
yeah, Ricky's got some impressions of his of some politicians in his bag. So maybe for the
whoa.
But anyway, I don't know. Yeah, any more thoughts about Nick Kroll? We could probably do a whole episode about his
No, I'm sure that once we get into the off-season talk, or I guess, certain players and whatnot, he'll come back up.
Yeah, so speaking of some off-season talk, Bet Online put out their odds for who's going to land Kyle Schwarber, and Reds are the favorites at 5-2 plus 250. I don't know if you saw that or not. Lance McAllister
Sign Kyle Schwarber?
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know who
they are. They are the favorite. The Mets are second. Cubs, Yankees, Rangers, Padres, Red Sox. Phillies aren't even in the top 15.
Have you checked any other betting? I don't gamble, so I don't know how all this stuff works.
Yeah, me neither. I don't even know how to look for that stuff.
Yeah, I don't know how to look for that stuff.
5-2. That's plus 250.
That's crazy.
Do you think that maybe with the Nick Martinez contract going away, that frees up that $21 million and then some to maybe go towards that?
The way I could see it working would have to be a contract. Think like Nick Castellanos when the Reds gave him that is more money, but the opt-outs.
Yeah.
Like if I'm Kyle Schwarber, I could see the idea of getting kind of older. I want to play for the Reds. Why don't I go there and just have all these opt-outs? And if I hit 75 home runs in Great American Ballpark,
put a couple balls
see you
in the
guys,
river.
I'm going elsewhere. If I start aging, cool, I can do that where I grew up and the team I followed and whatnot. It's kind of a win-win for him. But man, I really think it's a 5% chance. I don't think it's high at all.
That's crazy because the betting sites say different. Maybe there's a bunch of
I've not seen that yet. So that is the first I've heard of this, and that is crazy. I'm happy. I would love it. I really would. It would change kind of my mood towards the Reds right now, and I'm sure a lot of fans. But man, I mean, he's going to get several years and a lot of money. It won't be ludicrous money because he doesn't really play the field and he's getting older, but still, I mean, it's going to be a lot of money. 180, yeah, I mean, how much is that a year? Don't make me do math.
It's over 30. It's 35.
180 divided by 5 is 36.
Do it. No. I'm kidding, obviously. But
yeah, that seems high to me personally. I don't know what. Here,
there was
I'll try to find some projection.
So I just imagine that press conference, Nick Kroll be like, well, we did what we wanted to do, and we got our guy, hometown guy, and we're going to eliminate peaks and valleys. He's going to be the peak. Everyone else is a valley.
Yeah. We're trading everyone else except
Kyle Schwarber. Yeah, I mean, just baseball did a panel where they kind of took all these different projections and different people and put it together into one. And 4 years, 128, that's 32 million. I mean, so yeah, around that is not wild, I guess.
Do that with an opt-out after year 2 or 2, year 1 and year 2.
Yeah, I mean, if that's what it takes, that's kind of the world the Reds live in, isn't it?
Or they could go the Ohtani route and pay him $500,000 and just defer the rest of it over the next 15 years.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Who's his agent? I fear the answer possibly based on how much he made a bunch of money going from Chicago to Philadelphia, but I'm afraid he's got who. But I don't know, man. It would be nice. Schwarber coming home, Middletown kid. Maybe JD Vance can make something work or something.
Oh, jeez.
Not to bring up politics, sorry, but I'm just saying.
We're gonna sign him. He's gonna be a great player. He's
There
gonna
you
be
go. There's
tremendous.
an impression. But yeah, so like, I know you've listed out some other guys in your most recent article on what, if not Schwarber, like what is, I guess, realistic? What would be positive, get the fan base going at least in some direction, if it's not Schwarber.
So before you do that,
Yeah,
his agent is Excel Sports Management.
Okay. So he should
Yeah,
not
I
be.
tried to Google who that is, and I don't know anything about agents outside of Scott Boras, really.
Yeah.
I'm saying it's one of the
So yeah,
Anyway.
the three big names that I think people want to talk about, right, are Jaron Duran, Stephen Kwan, and Luis Robert Jr. I think none of them are what I would say are likely. There were some rumors with Kwan. That's obviously a Terry Francona guy, and that guy's like built in a lab for Terry Francona's kind of what he wants out of a team. So that one could happen. Like if there's one that could happen, I think that's the most likely to happen, just because the Guardians have been known to trade off some pieces as well, and just with how much Francona seems to like him and he has control. Like there's just certain things that line up that make sense. I would love it. I think you still need a lot more offense if you do that as well. But either way, Jaron Duran, I'm a fan of as well, but I just don't know how much that's going to cost. And I think, there's a few Braves, another one, Gold Glove winner for Boston in the outfield. You can switch him and Duran in this trade proposal, and I feel similar about it. I would like it. I just don't want it to be the Hunter Green deal, Somebody else, fine. And Luis Robert, man, I've been wanting him to be a Red for a while now, and I just don't know if it makes that much sense at this point, unless the prospect capital is cheap, which it isn't, which is why he's still in Chicago. It's a very odd situation. So really, I don't see it from either of those three, but the most likely, in my opinion, is Kwan. The more likely moves, and I don't like either one of these, are Cedric Mullins, free agent, and Trent Grisham, also a free agent. Mullins had one good year, and it's the first year he quit switch hitting, 2021. Since then, he's been a solid player, but that's about it. He's kind of declining too, speed and defense, but he can play center. Lefty bat, the Reds need a lefty bat. Not a lot of power, some speed. Like, he's fine, but I don't think that he's like a major upgrade. You would look at him in a similar light as TJ Friedel. So to me, it's not impact enough. And Trent Grisham, I have trouble saying his name for some reason. I'm totally out. Like I'm so far out on this. This season was by far his best career season. 34 home runs was exactly double his next career high, or his previous high, I should say. And man, he got hit over 200 for 3 straight seasons until this year. I'm not a big batting average guy, but that should just tell you a lot. Pretty mediocre, below average bat until this season. And all of a sudden, he just has his career year. I don't think the Reds are in a position to be giving out 3-4 year contracts to guys like him. Declining speed and defense as well. Like, I would just stay away from that. That feels a lot like the Jamer Candelario and Mike Moustakas contracts and how those aged. Like, that feels closer to that. I think Mullins would be a shorter term deal, cheaper as well. Like, if I had to pick between those two, I would rather go Mullins, not because I think he's the better player, but I think it's the safer contract.
So let me ask you this. We were talking about Schwarber earlier. He was projected at what, $34 million per year?
Yeah.
There is an article on Cody Bellinger where he's projected to hit 7 years, 182. That's $26 million a year. Would you rather have Bellinger at 26, or would you rather have Schwarber at 34 million per year, not age?
Ooh, 2 players I like a lot.
Because Bellinger, his numbers, and I've been harping on this for years now. He's a 339 hitter with 9 home runs in 27 games versus the Reds at Great American. So his numbers translate to Great American Ballpark. The question is, do you play him in center field and move Friedel? Do you move him to first because he is a pretty solid first baseman?
Yeah. I like both players, and I would be so happy with either one. Um, Man, that's a tough question. I think Schwarber, simply because I have more faith in what Schwarber does staying. Like, I think Schwarber's going to hit home runs for the foreseeable future and draw walks. Like, that's what you're signing him to do. Like, I think that ages well. I don't think there's a lot of wear and tear, not a lot of concerns with previous seasons with him. Bellinger, although he's probably the more valuable, can play the outfield first, longevity to the contract and whatnot. Like, to me, he's had some disastrous seasons, some injuries, some bad spells. Like, I would love to have them, either one of them. I'm probably being a little cautious, but I think Schwarber's the safer bet. And when you're talking about the Reds, like, if you mess up your one big free agent, like, you're screwed for years. So I would rather just go the safer route.
Yeah, we're too familiar with that over the last couple of years with Mike Moustakas and Jamer Candelario.
Yeah, I mean, to a smaller extent, Austin Hayes. Luckily, they didn't give him too much. But speaking of that, though, that was kind of the news of the day. Suter, Barlow, and Hayes were all declined for their options this year, or going in 2026, I should say. And basically, they saved what, $17 million or something like that, or $19 million for next year in terms of salary. I guess kind of combining what we are just talking about, that like, does that give you some hope that they're going to use that money smartly, or is that just like, oh well, maybe we're just going to kind of spread it around, get another Hayes type player for $15-20 million or whatever, and kind of piece together this team again, but not necessarily get anything that'll get the fans excited.
If that's the type of money you have to work with, you can still improve, but you have to be willing to give prospects. And that's where it comes to. If you're not going to spend money, you have to spend assets, trade assets. If you don't do either, how are you going to be a good team? You're just going to hope all of your homegrown talent lines up in a similar window. They all have a great year all at once. And the ancillary pieces that you give your 1 year, $5 million to also play at the best. Like, what I'm getting at is that's not going to happen. Or it happens so rarely that that's not what you should be going for. There's just higher percentage plays, in my opinion. Like, what are the chances that what I just outlined happens? And what are the chances that Kyle Schwarber's great? Like, which one's a better chance? You know what I'm saying? So, to me, if you want to go with that cheaper route, you have to trade. And like Brandon Lau from Tampa would be a perfect fit. I think he's on the last year of his deal. It was a club option that they picked up. I think it's 11 and a half. Not much money, tons of power. He is a platoon bat. We know the Reds don't shy away from that. So that's not automatically off the list.
Yeah.
He can play second. There's your Matt McLain insurance. Let's say Matt McLain doesn't improve. He does not look much better. He gets injured, even like anything along those lines. Boom, you have him at second. He can be your DH, allows Hal Stewart to play first base. Or he can play first base. That's another position that I'm not exactly settled in. And if you want Spencer Steer on this roster, cool, platoon him. There's a platoon. Lau has also played outfield. Another player that I had listed in a similar light in terms of just money and whatnot would be Ryan O'Hearn. That is a free agent. I think that is a good fit. He's not the power bat that many people think he is, just from his size and kind of stature and whatnot, but he's a really good hitter, draws walks, makes a lot of contact with the Reds and he does have more power than the average player who's has good contact rates. I do think his power will play up. Those are two guys that I think are inexpensive, relatively easy to acquire. One a free agent, one trading with the Rays. Like, you would have to give up something, but I think he would be available. And two guys that could actually change what this lineup looks like. They need a lefty bat. I mean, they really do, and I think those are two good options.
Yeah, I was kind of browsing here. Jeff Carr put out an article the other day about the potential of, like, I think it was the Locked On A's podcast talked about trading for Ke'Bryan Hayes and giving up Justin Sterner for him. I don't know how you feel about trading Ke'Bryan Hayes. I know his defense is otherworldly, but his offense is otherworldly bad. So I don't know if that would be an option if you wanted to go, I guess, in the other end of the spectrum of overreacting and going offense first, defense last, and putting Sal Stewart at third, and then figuring out first base.
No, I wouldn't want to do that. South Stewart a third is pretty rough. I don't think he's a third baseman. I'd rather him play a corner outfield. Like I'd rather try him at corner outfield, like first, second, first and DH. Next try second base. Next try corner outfield. I may even flop those bottom two. I don't want him at third. I'm fine trading Hayes. Like was, I like that they are improving the defense. That's fine, but trading Hayes is hard. Like, there's not a ton of teams, even though he's not expensive, and maybe the A's are like the one team that would do something like that. But man, it's just like trading a contract like that is hard. You don't see it often where a player gets traded with that many years and then gets traded right again. It's a pretty unique scenario. So I just think the possibility of it happening is pretty low. Would I be fine with it? Absolutely. I mean, sure. I don't I like Ke'Bryan. He's just fine. I just don't think he's going to hit nearly enough, which puts a lot more pressure. It's just like finding level, right? Water has to find its level. Well, if I dig a hole and that hole is Ke'Bryan Hayes' offense, that water is going to fill that hole until I put something in that hole to bring it back up, right? So in my opinion, like that means okay, you sign Schwarber or Bellinger, or some trade for these. Like if you improve the offense enough that you can stomach keep Ryan Hayes in the 9 hole and provide awesome defense, I'm good with that. That is the way to do it. If you're not improving the offense drastically, then I don't know how you get to a better offensive production considering how much he drives it down.
Yeah, Carrick says that the Reds were crazy to trade for him at the deadline. I don't know. Like defensively, you sacrificed a ton. Even if Candelario would have played, like he's a subpar defender at third base, and Steer obviously wasn't healthy enough to throw the majority of the season. He probably wasn't going to play third base anyway. Left field majority, probably. And third base was kind of a hole, and I guess long term people kind of project Ellie there, but I don't know. I feel like they had to do something. Obviously, Edwin Arroyo wasn't ready to come up. Sal Stewart, he's a great offensively, but like you said, his defense isn't what you expect out of a major league third baseman. But yeah, I don't know how you feel about that either.
Yeah, I wasn't thrilled about it. I thought it was a very odd move, but I mean, when the team tells us what they want, we need to listen. And what have they shown us? Defense, contact, like this is what they want, which makes me feel like the Schwarber thing just won't happen because he sucks defensively and he'll draw a lot of walks, but he's going to strike out and he hits home runs. Like he's a 3 outcome hitter. Like there's nothing that this front office and coaching staff has shown us that makes us think that that's something that they will want, which is why I was bringing up players like if they're going to trade, like I could see them trading for like a Nico Horn or Bryson Stott, like these players that may not get us that excited, but are some of the best, like contact, defense, those type of players. Like they are the best at that. They typically come at a slightly cheaper cost than trading for, the power hitters of the world. So like it could make sense. I hope that they surprise me and say, oh, like we have some contact, but we also wanted to bring in power. Like we don't want all eggs in one basket, but we'll see.
Yeah. Grant asked, what's your take on the bullpen, kind of on the pitching side of free agency? I did see some rumors about Devin Williams potentially being a candidate. I don't know how his contract looks like, as his projection looks. I'm not forecasting this, but Edwin Diaz just opted out of his contract also. What do you think that they look at as far as bullpen now that we're probably losing Nick Martinez? He's probably not coming back unless he takes a pay cut. And Barlow and Suter leaving.
I think they're going to have to do what they've kind of been doing, which is mid-level bullpen arms that they give the extra million to, or the option, or the, whatever the little enticing thing is. We don't see high-level relief pitchers sign in Cincinnati. Emilio Pagan signed here, yeah, and there's injuries involved, and they gave him $8 million in 2 years. Like, there was some speculation about kind of, if anyone else even gave him close to that. And so like the list that I had come up with was lefty heavy, because I don't think Sam Mole's that great. Brent Suter's gone. Like, they need a higher level lefty. And all things considered in terms of spending, Holby Milner was one, ground ball machine, older guy, has bounced around some, but has always been solid, kind of lands with these type of teams on a 1-year deal, 2-year deal type deal. A hired into name would be Gregory Soto, former Tiger, Met, Oriole, electric stuff, has gotten better with his command. Kind of feast or famine type though, and he would be a little bit more expensive. But do you want a guy who can come out and face the toughest lefty out of the bullpen and potentially strike him out? Gregory Soto can be that within the Reds, restrictions. Caleb Ferguson's an Ohio guy. Finished this year in Seattle. Really solid, not great, not something that I think many people would be excited about. And a couple other names, Aaron Bummer, who's on the Braves. This is the Taylor Rogers move for me. The Braves have 3 or 4 other left-handed arms that are younger, cheaper, and productive. They don't need Aaron Bummer. And if they want to spend more money, they can dump his salary. In a way, he's still effective. And I think that could be like the Taylor Rogers type move this season. Brock Burke's another lefty I like. And then the other one I listed was Sam Hinches, but he's coming off of injury, and for 2 seasons, he's effective. That would be like a, throw a dart type move. The last 2 names are Mike Soroka and Phil Maton, both righties. Maton's a kid from Kentucky. Really, he's been awesome. I don't know why he doesn't get more money. Like, he's productive year after year after year after year. Struck a lot of guys out, has great command, wouldn't cost like a boatload. And Mike Soroka is a guy who just needs to be a reliever. They keep trying to keep him as a starter. Across 43 innings as a reliever, he has a 2.58 ERA and a 1.19 WHIP. So he's actually been really effective. His stuff has played up a lot, and we saw that with the White Sox in 2024 at the end of the year. He went to Washington, starter, and his relief appearance looked pretty good. Like, I think that's the type of move that a few kind of, I don't know if under the radar names is the right way to phrase that, but guys who may have some upside and still fit the parameters of cost restrictions.
Yeah, I'm eyeballing this list, and one name just stands out to me out of all these free agent relief pitchers. I want a Luke Weaver reunion.
Oh, how about it?
I'm not sure about that.
I don't know if Luke Weaver wants a Luke Weaver reunion.
If he watched Chatterbox Reds, I don't think he wants to come back to Cincinnati.
It is funny, man. It is funny that a lot of people do this, where they want their old players back, and like, we've all wanted an ex-girlfriend back, but that ex-girlfriend didn't want us back. Like, that happens a lot, man. Like, players leave, they don't always want to come back.
Yeah.
He had an historic run. And for the team, it was good. For him, it was awful.
Yeah.
I got one guy out there. You talk about lefties, Clay, just a second ago. Guy that's already in the org, a guy that is going to be super cheap because he's already under contract. River San Martin. He's in the Winter Dominican League. Hasn't given up a run. 29 years old. And hear me out. I know. This is like the very Reds way to go about business. Is not go into the market. Although I think I do agree with Carrick saying that they have been pretty decent about getting undervalued relievers and getting more value out of them than what they end up paying. Aside from Taylor Rogers, I would say. So Taylor Rogers ended up being kind of, obviously, we're glad that San Francisco ate half that contract before we had to spend another $6 million. But neither here nor there. I think it's very Reds to be. San Martin might be the guy in 2026.
Let me grab my computer charger. You all talk about River San Martin for the next 35 seconds, and I'll be back to give you my comments, which is he's a depth arm.
I could go on for a long time. I've been watching the Dominican League this winter so far, and he hasn't given up a run, Ricky. He's gone five innings, no runs. He came in last night. There was the starter who only went 1 2/3, and the guy gave up 5 runs. San Martin comes in, last out of the inning, pitches 2 more. Hopefully I don't sound like the crazy guy with the tinfoil hat that the Reds aren't going to spend any money on relief pitching, but I think he could possibly have a play. I don't know if he's going to make the opening day roster, but he spent the whole year in AAA.
Yeah, and you also got like your projection of Buck Farmer making the opening day roster as well. Should he come back? I
forgot about that.
I was thinking who did I have on there? I had names on here I was eyeballing. What I was thinking, we can get Clay back on here in a second, but it kind of reminds you with San Martin of how Tony Santion kind of had that comeback, He had did he have Tommy John? He had some kind of injury with his throwing arm where he was out for a while, and they put a lot of faith in him this past season, and I think he earned a potential closer role. So you never know what's going to happen.
Clay, we were just talking about San Martin, and also I forgot I got my other take out here for relief pitching. Buck Farmer is going to make the opening day roster 2026.
Oh gosh, this feels a lot like 2022, man. It's starting to feel like we're going the wrong direction.
Where's Diaz at? Where's him and his splitter? Let's get him back on the roster.
Let's bring back Jamer Candelario.
Who said that?
Sir Boy Wonder. Yeah. Shout out to Survey Wonder. Thank you for everyone in the chat. Thank Grant and Carrick and all them watching us. So I don't think we want to do the Jesse Winker thing either, to be honest with you. So that's
Jake Fraley available.
Oh yeah, I just say Bo Bichette did his
Stuart Fairchild.
Jake Fraley. He got DFA'd. He's available.
Scott Schebler, is he doing anything right now?
Gosh. All right. Yeah, we're going full. Yeah, Castellanos is available.
Anyway. There is one player that I want to trade for, and he's on the last year of team control, 31 years old.
Okay.
If you all probably know who I'm talking about because I was tweeting about him, but not an offensive player, 80-ish, 85, 90 WRC plus usually, but he makes a ton of contact. And he's an elite defender, and it's Mauricio Dubon. And it's not going to get anyone excited, but he's going to play the Santiago Espinal role. Only he's going to be much better. He is exactly what Terry Francona thinks Santiago Espinal is. This guy's been just an awesome utility guy. He literally plays all over the field. He played like 20 or more games at like 6 different positions last year. And he was worth 20 outs above average. 20, which is like up there with the best in the entire league.
Wow.
And on top of that, zone contact rate, which is how often he makes contact with pitches in the zone, league average is 82. He's at 90. He just puts the ball in play. It's what Francona likes. He won't be crazy expensive. He's on the Astros. Like, I don't know if they would be willing to trade him because they love him, but we'll kind of see what else they do, what other domino effects. But In terms of a bench player, I think that would be great. And he hits lefties extremely well. Sign me up. He's not going to hit home runs, but that's the parameters I'm working in, is what Francona and the front office may actually like.
You hear that, Nick Kroll? You hear that, Brad Meter? Let's make that happen.
Reigning Gold Glover this year as well for the utility role, like you said. So that's already, I think, it's already on the radar for Nick Kroll and Tito and all that. Why not? Why not?
You know what he doesn't have that Espinal has? An All-Star appearance.
Yeah. Shout out 2022. Another 2022 throwback. Is that why not get Ty France? Where's Ty France at?
A World Series appearance, Ty France.
Yeah, Gold Glove.
Toronto.
Gold Glove Ty France as well.
Yeah.
Hey, World Series champion Mauricio Dubon.
With the Astros? Oh, yeah. A 22 year. Yeah, hey, yeah, why not? Yeah, bring him in. We got Willie Harris. I just realized that Willie Harris was on the 2005 White Sox that won it all. And who else did you say? Oh, Napoli won it with the Red Sox, and now we got Tito.
Mm-hmm.
We got like a coaching staff full of World Series winners. So let's get that going. Why not? Bring it all into the culture, right?
So you know what's got to happen is we got to sign Will Smith, because he's won 5 or 6 consecutive World Series.
No, a Will Smith has. Will Smith for the Dodgers won the past 2. Will Smith, the relief pitcher, had won Braves, Royals.
Oh yeah, that guy. He kept getting traded, right?
So you're saying what we need to do is go.
Will Smith has won 5. I think the Will Smith you're talking about won 3 in a row, and then it stopped. But Will Smith, Dodgers, Will Smith.
Yeah.
So if we sign Will Smith, the actor / rapper,
we got a chance.
Do we win a World Series?
Or find a Will Smith. Doesn't matter.
Every batter's walk-up song is gonna be Miami. I mean, it'd be perfect.
Summertime, that's another good one by him. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, I don't know what else you got. I got a couple little comments, because obviously we had Espinal and Jabot get outrighted and left in free agency. So thank you for your service is basically all that. I don't know if you got any thoughts on that, Clay. There's also the reclassing of the service time for the Super 2 status for Matt McClain. So he's potentially in line for some more money. That's kind of interesting to think about, especially because Kroll's comments talking about how he's going to balance the budget again for 2026. That could be a factor, I guess. I don't know. Any thoughts on any of those subjects?
Not really. I mean, to me, it's kind of paperwork, you know.
Yeah. So then we'll go all that. What are your thoughts for the 2026 Reds? Like, what are your expectations? What do you have any? Like, are they going to surprise us? Or are they just going to kind of be the same old? Like, what do you got in store for the 2026 Redlegs?
I mean, this offseason is a big one. If they really don't do much, like when I say don't do much, it does not mean they have to sign X, Y, and Z. Like, if you do something like the Jonathan India, Brady Singer, like that was a good trade. Like, if you come up that way, like whatever strategic, creative way you want to improve the team, they have to improve going into next year. I don't want to see the same outfield. I don't want to see Will Benson. I love Will Benson, fun player. We have seen, 350 Will Benson games. Like, it's just not going to happen. It's not going to be what we think it could be. So to me, it just has to show monumental steps forward in improving today, not trading away and improving the future and all of this. Like, I want the 2026 team to be looking at a playoff and not hoping the Mets lose and sneaking in.
That's fair. Yeah, I think Ricky and I kind of talked about this a little bit. Like 90 wins is the goal. That is like a legitimate playoff team. If you're like in that spot, you're hopefully challenging for the division, unless the Voodoo Brewers win 98 games again. You're at very least going to be possibly hosting a playoff game for the wild card. So like that's kind of like the goal I've been seeing, like 90 wins, like 83, 84, 85. that's shaky ground, because if there's a bunch of teams that are really good, that could be outside looking in, right? But if you're in that 90, 91 range, I think that's a legitimate playoff team.
Yeah, I'm there. I'm there with you.
I think we got a couple questions here. Ricky, is that you got a highlighter here?
Carrick, he says Reds still need to open up a couple spots. Who would you drop? I'm assuming it's 40-man talk.
Yeah.
Well, let me pull up the Reds 40-man roster here and rattle off several names.
A couple notables are Julian Aguiar coming back from Tommy John. He's on the 40-man roster. Brandon Williamson, I don't know how he looks health-wise. I know they said he had a setback, I believe, during one of the broadcasts towards the end of the season. So he could potentially be another 60-day IL stint for him. Other than that, I don't really have a whole lot of who's on there.
Yeah, I mean, if they were to move on from somebody like Sam Moll, it wouldn't be the most shocking thing in the world. If they were able to sign other lefties or bring in other lefties. I think this is kind of where the trade comes in. Like, I want Chase Petty to get traded, and if you bring back somebody that's good enough to trade Rhett Lauder, like, so be it. Like, that's where I am at this point. When you spend all these years building this farm system, and I'm okay trading some of them because there's only 26 players on this roster, right? And you need 35, 40, 50, whatever to get through the season. Like, I understand that. But at some point, like I said earlier, if you're not willing to sign, then you have to be able to trade some prospects. I'm not saying trade them all or trade 6 in one deal or anything, but I'm just kind of running through the 40-man position player wise. There's several. Like, I'm okay dropping several of these guys. Like Will Benson, like, I'm ready to move on. Blake Dunn, like, I like Blake Dunn just fine as depth, but I'm not gonna sweat it if you lose Blake Dunn. Like, that's fine. If they want to keep him, sure. Another thing that could get interesting is kind of what they do with CES and Spencer Steer. I think Spencer Steer is a perfectly fine player. Like, he's perfectly fine. But I think that about too many players on this roster. And at some point to improve, you have to move on from a perfectly fine player. If they trade him and the return makes sense and there's a major leaguer coming back, like, there's an avenue where that could make sense. Same with CES. It's not that I just want to rent these players. It's trading a roster spot and getting value without having to shell out too much prospect capital. And those players are, they're starting to reach arbitration type levels, and that's when it starts to get more expensive. Will Banfield, the third catcher, like, we've seen teams cycle through third catchers on the 40-man forever. Like, that's not a big deal to me. So there's several pitchers on here. Reaver San Martin, I'm sorry guys, but adios. He'll come back to Louisville and be just fine depth. So yeah, those are just some names that I would be comfortable moving on from.
Yeah, so you named one that I've been talking about, and that's Encarnacion Strand. He turns 26 in December. And to me, he's just shown no ability to figure out the strike zone and not chase at everything. Hopefully, like I think we talked about it at the trade deadline, Roger. If you can kind of trick a team into thinking of his potential, because he does have a ton of potential to hit, 30, 40 home runs, depending on where he's playing. But I just don't have a whole lot of faith in him. We're going into his fourth season, third, if he's healthy, it would be his third full season, I guess, technically. Second full season. He played like half of 2023. I just don't see it with him. The Savant numbers, StatCast, they scream at you when he hits a ball 116 miles per hour or whatever. But when he's not, he hit the grand slam in Boston, and that kind of brought back memories of when Jose Barrero hit that grand slam in Boston. I was like, oh, that's the last moment we're gonna get from him.
Yeah, where I kind of stand with him is I would rather hold on to him now unless the deal makes sense. Like, I don't want to dump him.
Yeah.
But these are the same concerns I had when I watched him in the minors. The exact same player, like chasing ridiculous pitches. The reason why his numbers were so good is because the minor league pitchers aren't as good, and he was able to make more contact on uncompetitive pitches and just put it in the outfield, put it at a ground ball or whatnot that got through. So like his average looked good, but he always had horrible discipline at the plate. That's going to get exposed in a huge way in the majors. It's one of the biggest red flags of a lot of prospects. Is your numbers may look good, but like what's the story to get to those numbers? And for his, it was always this is difficult. You don't see a ton of players with this type of approach become successful. They do happen. Like there's outliers to everything. And he could be one of those. I think it's just such a mental thing at this point, trying to not swing at everything. And I'm fine with them like keeping him on the 40 man this year and seeing what happens, but I don't want him to be like part of the plan. It's kind of like what I was saying about Marte heading into this past season. Like that's fine. You have him. Like I still think that there's talent there and it could work. Like I want to see more with them. Like I want to keep them unless the trade makes a lot of sense. But I don't want that to inhibit you adding elsewhere. Like I want him further on the depth chart, make him earn it, make him push through, and I'll play a vet. And like I don't think that's happening. And because it's a low percentage, I want to bring in somebody that's a higher percentage to have some insurance.
Yeah, that's fair. We got a couple more questions just to kind of get through as well. Like Grant's asking, is Sal Stewart play second base, or where does Sal Stewart play in 2026?
I think he's first in DH. He could, the avenue for him playing second would be if they added a first baseman and Matt McLean was injured or horrible, which is, within the realm of possibilities. I think that the best outcome with Sal is to make him a first baseman. I think that's what he's going to be long term, first base DH. So just allow him to do that right off the jump. Make everything easier for Sal Stewart to be a good hitter. Do not make him try to learn second at a high level, the highest level. And yeah, he's played there and it's been mediocre, if that. For me, it's simplify everything defensively and just let him focus on hitting because him and Ellie are the two highest potential impact players on your current roster in the batter's box. So for me, it's you don't have a great hitter at first, put him at first. That's where he's going to end up either way. Don't delay the inevitable.
And then he also chimes in, Ref Snyder, Yastrzemski, Friedel, Marte, Steer, and Dunn as your outfielders.
See what Carrick's doing here because Ref Schneider kills lefties and Yastrzemski's a good enough hitter against righties. So the platoon there, Friedel in center, Marte in right, Steer's more of that utility type, and Dunn would be the, additional outfielder depth or whatnot. Like it makes sense. I don't hate this idea, but I just think that you just need a higher impact player out of that bunch, even with the platoon of both older, 35 plus year old players platooning there. I would just rather get somebody who's kind of a higher ceiling than two solid platoon players.
And then I got one final question from me. We saw the season that Sal Stewart had. It was kind of unexpected in a way, just based off of last year. He had the injury where he missed some time, and he dominated AA, he dominated AAA, and he gets called up. Could you see a world in where Cam Collier has that kind of season next year? And then if he does, what is the outcome with him being primarily a first baseman and playing Stewart at first base also?
Yeah, Collier is a tough one because he's another one that if the trade made sense, I would be fine with it. I'm usually okay trading players that are extremely limited defensively. And the reason why is because there's so much more value placed on their bat. So unless Collier comes up or Collier, to be a really good major leaguer, would have to have an OPS above 775. You know what I mean? Like he would have to be a really good hitter. That's just the bottom line. And his power disappeared for a moment, that for a stretch this year. And he's kind of had these spells now, and he's young. Like there's still a long way to go with him, and that's perfectly fine. I don't think he'd get called up in 2026. So that's why I'm kind of pivoting from your question to kind of his outlook. I just think he's too raw still. Now we've seen players make a ton of growth in an off season, but he has too many similarities and restrictions as Sal Stewart that having both on the roster is kind of a challenge. And if you're going to have both, I would rather that limited player be Kyle Schwarber than a rookie in Cam Collier, who I think still has a ways to go. And I know Carrickson mentioned some third base defense and whatnot. Like I don't. It's not so much that like they couldn't be passable at third. It's just I think that they'd be really bad at third, and we saw that with um, Spencer Steer when he played third. And like I just don't see this team and what Terry Francona wants to do as putting a bad defender at third. And trading for Hayes showed us that. I think Christian Encarnacion Strand, Sal Stewart, and Cam Collier are all better off as DH first baseman. And Spencer Steer also is closer to that bucket than a true utility guy. And what are we seeing with this team? Gavin Lux, a similar player where it's like they're pretty limited. And when you have a starter that's limited, like that's okay, that's every day. But when you're talking about bench guys who can't move around or don't provide anything besides like there's a reason you don't see a ton of first base only bench players. They have to absolutely mash, and they have to be a platoon player. You don't see a lot of this guy only plays first base and he's on our bench. That's just not a thing in this day and age. So that's why I think something has to happen with a trade. Hector Rodriguez, I absolutely love. He's one of my favorite prospects and has been for a couple of years now. He had a similar CES problem where he swung at everything, like even the data. Um, I was talking to RM Layton, and he was showing me some swings. This is like 2 years ago, and some of the percentages. And I remember Hector Rodriguez was swinging at 60% of pitches, no matter what, like no matter where they were. And this is in low A, where like pitchers are spraying balls. Hector came into this year and was incredibly different at the plate, much more patient, much more selective. And when you have as good as contact skills as he has, even 5%, let's just say 5% better at not swinging at balls, that means the pitcher has to work back into the zone. And he has one of those 90% zone contact rates. So obviously, the more the pitcher is forced to enter the zone and you have a 90% contact rate, the more contact you're going to make. And that's why his numbers have been doing so well. I love the outlook. I don't think the Reds are in a current 2026 year are not in a position to kind of see what they have. Like I think Rodriguez can start and play in the minors, and if he continues to play well and there's injuries later in the summer, sure. But I don't want to go in with a 21-year-old as the plan in left field. Like I just don't see that. He's not a great defender either. I don't think he would be somebody who they would put in center field, even though they've done that with Jesse Winker before and Shin Chu, and like they've done it. So like, don't put it past them. But I do think Rodriguez is one of the few prospects who could have an impact in 2026.
Yeah, shout out to Hector. He's also in the Winter Dominican League. Just made his debut tonight for that. So he's getting after it in his offseason plans. That is interesting. And I think Ricky and I also talked about there was only like less than a handful of guys that made their debut for the Reds in 2025. Like Chase Petty, Sal, and who was the third
Burns.
one?
Tyler Callahan.
Yeah, Tyler Callahan.
There you go.
Like there's only four
4
I
guys.
think,
Zach
right?
Maxwell, Luis May,
Yeah.
like those pitchers. I mean, you can make a list like that, but like in terms of position players, yeah,
It
I
felt
mean
like
that's
2023. It
probably
was like every other week there was somebody getting called up.
Yeah, or even 24 with a bunch of guys like Connor Phillips and Rhett Lauder, like high top
Will
prospects.
Banfield's another one.
Oh yeah, the Will Banfield game. I forgot about that. So anyway, but the point I'm trying to say is like they need to add this off season so that we don't have to, like you say, be the plan to use the farm to supplement guys to get at bats, to get innings from the minors. Like as much as, you know, a small market team has to lean on their minor league system to get those innings, to get their, you know, at bats for guys and whatnot. But like we got to add so that the depth at the major league level is sufficient at the very least. And
Yeah,
that's
because you don't want a situation where you're in a desperate need to call up Austin Hendrick.
yeah. Or
I mean, guys, the thing is, these players have options. Like you don't have to put everyone on the major league roster. You can option some of these players, some of these fringe players, and that is your depth. It's like somebody who gets a major established major leaguer gets injured, you call up, and I know it's fun to look at on paper and say, "Oh, we're all clear." How many injuries happen in spring? How many injuries happen throughout the season? How many at bats are given to players that we don't want to see? Like it's going to happen. So, you know, a lot of good teams do this. They may have a player starting in AAA who's overseasoned, right? The Dodgers do it all the time. And I don't want to compare us to the Dodgers. That's a dangerous game. But it's not out of the realm of possibilities to say, okay, yeah, CES just has to start in the minors. Let me check. See, he does have one option left, right? 2 options left. Hell, 2 options left.
yeah. I mean, even McLean has options, and I don't know if
Yeah,
there's
and
a
I wanted him to get sent down last year.
yeah, I don't know if there's some sort of philosophy thing of like Spencer Steer and Matt McLean that just don't go on the IL, don't get optioned down to work on their craft. They have to figure it out in the majors, which I thought that was against the Tito Francona philosophy of like you don't learn in the majors. You come ready to as you are, and you give everything you got and whatnot. But neither here nor there. We can get into the philosophy talk for a long time.
Yeah, Matt McLean's rehab assignment was the fall league last year.
Yeah, pretty much. And he didn't play as much as even Balcazar and Collier are playing this year. Balcazar and Collier are playing every single day. And CES was in that same spot, right? He was a fall league 2024. So, like, yeah, there's a lot. Like you said, this is a huge offseason in figuring out what the 40 man looks like firstly, and then what they're going to look like in terms of adding, hopefully supplementing this, you know, outfield. I feel like that going into last year, Ricky and I identified the outfield needs the most help. Do you think we're doing that? And I guess to add that onto that, do you think Tyler Callahan will be ready by the time 2026 rolls around?
I have no idea what that timeline looks like. It was such a weird injury too, like not a baseball injury you typically see, like a broken arm. Like I just don't know anything about history of those injuries and returns and how it affects. Like I don't know, but either way, I see him as, you know, minor league depth, and I actually like what I saw from him. Like I'm kind of hoping to see more from him this year at some point, but I just don't know enough about what you can expect from him, but I'm kind of excited to watch him.
Yeah. Hopefully he's got that dad strength too, because he had a kid right after he got hurt, unfortunately. So he had lots of time to bond with his kid, which is, you know, awesome. But,
and that should have been a catch.
Well, yeah. What was that? That was way back in May, right? Yeah, we're gonna revisit that. Anyway, I don't know, Ricky. You got anything else for our guest today?
Yeah, free Reese Hines. That's all.
Oh. We're gonna have a whole podcast about that too.
I kind of forgot about Reese Hines tonight. Like as we were doing this, he did not cross my mind once.
And neither for the Reds org.
Yeah.
So
Blake Dunn got more at bats than Reese Hines this year in the major leagues.
Blake Dunn played well. played well at the end of the year, right?
I'm pretty sure Jacob Hurtubise was pretty close to that same amount of at bats too.
Do not get me started on him.
Thank you for your service, Jacob.
Don't get me started on Jacob Hurtubise.
Yeah, he didn't find another job, right? He got DFA'd again. So anyway,
He's been bouncing around some minor league teams and whatnot. I mean, seems like a great guy. He follows me on Twitter, so I try not to say too much about him.
Okay, that's nice.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah, for sure.
Got his first career hit against the Dodgers.
Yes.
It's like that. Well, all right. Yeah, I don't think anything else. We're really appreciative of your time, Clay, coming on with us. An hour and a half in. Feels like we could go another hour and a half. Carrick, shout out Carrick. He's
no problem, guys.
Big time fan.
I appreciate y'all having me on.
Thank you again. And like we always sign off, go Reds.
Go Reds.
Go Reds.